Hey everyone, I'm Brooke and welcome to the channel. So you may have heard Apple has finally released some new iPads. It has been quite a while. They did not refresh any iPads last year, so there was quite a bit of buildup and anticipation for this 2024 release. And so they have officially come out with new iPad Airs, new iPad Pros, and some new iPad accessories. The iPad mini, however, nothing. Hasn't been mentioned, wasn't refreshed, so who knows? No idea what their plan is for that one. So I myself have been using an iPad Pro 11-inch for a few years now. You probably realize there was not much change between generation 1, 2, and 3, maybe even 4 of the iPad Pros. There hasn't been much in the last few years. This is the first year they have made some considerable updates and some considerable changes. So let's unbox my new iPad Pro 11-inch in the silver, of course. 256 gigabytes, that's like the base storage option now. And I'll show you all of the new major changes. All right, so this is the box this year for the new M4 iPad Pro. You can see it, the box spells out P-R-O, Pro this year. Kind of cool, I guess. Nice. I'm gonna open it. Let's take this paper off. All right, very cool. So I'm gonna turn this on, and while that turns on, let's open some of the stuff from the box. All right, so what comes in the box this year? You have the usual papers and whatnot. You may have read though, or may have seen online already, no stickers anymore, apparently. So if you want stickers, I think you have to actually go into a physical store and ask for some. So I have a white braided USB-C to USB-C cable, which matches the iPad. If I had gotten the space black iPad, the cable would be black. So something to note. And then I also have a power brick, and this is, 20-watt power brick. I believe only the UK no longer comes with a power brick, but here in Canada and the US as well, you should have a 20-watt power brick in the box. And that's pretty much it. Box is empty. But to get into what we really want to talk about, let's be serious. One of the biggest updates, I would say, because it's the one that Apple has kind of been marketing the most, is how thin the new iPads are. It's definitely thin. This 11-inch, 5.3 millimeters. The 13-inch is 5.1 millimeters. Because it's just a bigger iPad, they can spread things out a little bit more and get it a little bit thinner. Now, 5.3 to 5.1, not a huge difference. However, they are saying that the 13-inch iPad Pro is now the thinnest Apple product ever made. I guess if you don't consider the Apple credit card a product, but in terms of like hardware device, sure. Okay, so the new iPad Pro is the thinnest they've ever made. That's kind of cool. I personally, though, I never really dreamed of having a thinner iPad. Lighter, yes, like that's awesome. And the two often go hand in hand, so I get that. However, if I could have gotten a longer battery life, a bigger battery with a thicker iPad, I probably would have preferred that, if I'm being honest. If you look at the USB-C ports, the new one on this side, on the left side, is pretty much the width of the USB-C port. And then the older one, you can see there's a little bit more room around the USB-C port. So it is definitely a little bit thicker. And weight-wise, this arm honestly is already a little bit tired and this one is not. So, okay, I'll take it. Thin iPad is lighter, I like it. So the 11-inch iPad is actually under 1 pound. I think it's like 0.98 or something. And then the 13-inch iPad Pro, I think it's like just over 1 pound. I'll add the weights to the screen. Beyond the thinness, the biggest though actual hardware update or feature, if we want to call it, in my opinion, are these new screens. The iPad screen, and you can maybe honestly already tell just from how bright this welcome screen is, has OLED technology, and not just one, but tandem OLED technology. The two main benefits of this new screen, this new OLED screen, one is the brightness, and two, the benefit is the color accuracy. So these colors are just gonna look incredibly crisp. The blacks are gonna be very dark, very black, and the other colors will just be brighter and more vibrant. I really hope this comes out on camera. I'm testing the brightness right now of the two screens and the color, like basically comparing the screens. So hopefully you can see. So the new iPad with the tandem OLED screens is on the left, and then my original iPad Pro is on the right. Like, first of all, huge brightness difference. And just to prove, like, they're both set at max brightness. So new iPad on the top, old iPad on the bottom. Can you see what I'm seeing? Essentially, there's a huge color difference. So this tandem OLED screen is pretty freaking cool. I could have opted to get a nano texture screen, but I didn't. And so what it would have done is it would have made it a little bit more matte, and it would have cut any glare. And honestly, the reason I didn't is, one, you could only get the nano texture screen on a 1 terabyte or 2 terabyte iPad Pro. So it just ups the cost twice, more storage and the different nano texture display. So I did not opt for it. But the other reason is I think I'd rather just have the option to put a screen protector like a Paperlike that I often use when writing with the Apple Pencil that cuts down on some glare instead of always permanently kind of being locked in to that different texture and that different display, because a nano texture display does cut down a little bit, I've heard, on the brightness and the color accuracy. Now, the next big change is to the front camera, and this new change or this update is applicable to both the new iPad Pro, but also the new iPad Air. And that is the front camera, which used to be at the top in portrait mode, is now at the top in landscape mode. So that Face ID camera, that FaceTime camera, video call camera, is just a little bit better when you are using the iPad on a stand, which I would say most people probably are, to be a little bit more hands-free when they're FaceTiming or something like that. So it does definitely make a little bit more sense to have the camera in the right spot. The back camera on the iPad Pro also got a bit of an update. First of all, the camera bump is now the same color as the iPad. So I actually think that's a really nice touch. It used to be the black camera bump with a silver iPad. Now it is more seamless. And what you may have noticed, there's only one camera now. So the iPad Pros used to have two. There used to be an ultra wide camera. Below it now is a LiDAR scanner. There's a new flash, a microphone, and at the top, I believe I heard this was an ambient light sensor. So the main use case for a camera on the iPad is not, you're not necessarily walking around taking pictures, maybe if you need to in a pinch, but it's really for document scanning and, you know, PDFs, things like that. So that's why they've made this one camera really good. They've added an ambient light sensor, a new flash, just to make that document scanning better. And then, of course, the big change that you can't actually see is the chip inside. So the new iPad Pros have an M4 chip. They are now the only device with an M4 chip. It was released for the first time in an iPad. Laptops, M3. iPad Air, M2. Only these new iPad Pros have an M4 chip at the moment. Apple is having their developer conference next month in June, so we'll see what they talk about or what they introduce there that can maybe take hold of all this power, who knows, and utilize all this power. But for now, it's just an iPad Pro with an M4 chip, with a crazy fast chip. Let me know, what do you think? I do have an iPad Pro currently. Has this tempted you enough to upgrade? So along with the new iPad Air and new iPad Pro, Apple did release two new iPad accessories. There's a new Apple Pencil that they're now calling the Apple Pencil Pro, and there's a new Magic Keyboard for the iPad Pro only. A few gripes I and a lot of people already have with these new accessories. Okay, they do look cool. Like honestly, this Apple Pencil box, I'm just looking at it for the first time. This is kind of cool. This is different. But the accessories. So this new Apple Pencil Pro can only be used with the new iPad Pro, so the M4 iPad Pro that just came out, and the new iPad Air that just came out only. So you cannot go out and buy this new Apple Pencil and use it with any other iPads unless it's one of the two that was just released in 2024. Similarly, this new Magic Keyboard is only compatible with the new iPad Pro. So it's like if you want one, you really kind of have to get all three. A little annoying and very expensive, but they did make some upgrades to the Apple Pencil Pro and the new Magic Keyboard that make it different enough that it's kind of worth the upgrade. The main new features, so there's now a squeeze feature that you can use to activate or trigger this new little menu, which I'm actually pretty happy about because I find the old menu, which is still available through the markup button, is just, it gets in the way a lot of times. There's also a new barrel feature or action gesture, let's call it. So if I were to turn or like barrel roll the pencil, it's gonna now change basically the orientation or the thickness of the pencil or the marker. So for example, for anyone who is an artist or a designer or something like that, like I can see how having more accurate control of the marker, the pen, whatever it is, could be helpful. As well, there's now haptic feedback. So when you do squeeze the pencil, it's gonna basically vibrate, confirming the action. Lastly, these new Pencil Pros have Find My support. So that's pretty huge. That's a big one for me for sure, is if ever I do lose it, I can find it in my Find My app. The new Magic Keyboard more or less looks the same. It's pretty identical. The first thing I'm noticing is this, the spine of the keyboard, I guess, is now silver, but the biggest differences are happening in here. So if it comes up on camera, what you might be noticing right now is similar to the spine being aluminum, the wrist rests are now aluminum as well, and so is the trackpad. The trackpad is a little bit bigger. Can't really tell too much on this one, just because they don't have a lot of real estate to work with in the first place, and it was improved, the trackpad was improved with haptic feedback as well. The next big improvement, and one that I'm very, very happy about, is now on this new Magic Keyboard, there is a function key at the top. So you can do things like control the iPad's brightness and play, pause your music, volume. Basically, the function row you would have on a laptop, you now have the function row on the keyboard, and that's huge. So these are the two setups side by side. I have on the left, the new iPad Pencil aluminum keyboard, and then on the right, I have my old iPad Pro Pencil in the white keyboard. What you might be able to see more noticeably though, is there is actually a viewing angle difference. I didn't realize that. Like, if I put them both flat, there's definitely a viewing angle difference. It's less upright, I would say, on the new one, set back a little bit further, which I guess I'll test out and see if I like better. But yeah, those are the new setups. Let me know in the comments, which do you prefer? Are you team white or are you team silver? So I wanted to see if these new iPads were going to be thinner and lighter in my travel bag. So thinness wise, there's a small difference. I mean, it is definitely, I would say, a little bit thinner. The difference though is probably so small that you can't really tell on camera. The new one is definitely lighter with the case, like this whole kit, because this is what I would be traveling with. So I'm happy about that. If you have any questions about any of them, let me know in the comments. I'll get back to you. But for now, I'm gonna go play with this. I'm gonna go test it out, and that's it. So please like this video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and that's it. So have a great day. Bye.